My name is Michelle Liu. I'm currently the product lead of the Creative AI Lab at Smartly. I think you heard a little bit about, or a lot about what Smartly and the AI Lab do, but maybe I can talk about the background before that. So Apoorva and I were co-founders of a startup called Viral Space, and we built creative insights for ads. So very similar space, very similar target customer, and we were, I guess, using AI before it was cool to tag what goes on inside of Meta and TikTok ads and give customers recommendations of what works well for them, predict performance, give them recommendations, and a lot more. We were acquired by Smartly in 2021, so it's basically been a fun, 5.5-year-long journey of building AI for ads for enterprise marketers.
Awesome, great.
Awesome. Yeah, my name is Apoorva. I'm the Senior Engineering Manager of the AI Product Lab Creative, and I think Michelle gave a really good overview of Viral Space already. Super, yeah.
And I'm Yuliya. I'm a marketer. Let's finish with that. Yeah.
Awesome. I won't press you on the backgrounds too much. I was going to say, talk to me about your relationship to AI in general. So in your personal, I've heard about work, but how are you using it personally? Are there tools, are there apps, are there things you're testing out? I'd love to hear about it.
Yeah, so I think I love to use AI personally as definitely a research tool. Of course, as generation tools, I love to always play around with whatever new models are coming out. I definitely want to test Higgsfield if at some point we can, just to get inspiration for what we can bring to our customers. But in my personal life, I think I tend to use ChatGPT, Claude, things like that for a mix of things. One is I've been playing around with just little coding projects, little design projects, and I didn't study computer science, so I took a class, I've taken a handful of workshops, but I feel like I can actually make things now, so it's been amazing to have that as a resource. I've also been really interested in AI Companion, so it's so interesting that you were at Replica. I actually tested that years and years ago, but nowadays I've been playing with, there's startups that do this called Shapes and New Computer, and I'm curious to see what else will come out of those spaces.
Guys, what about the rest of you?
Yeah, I think for me, definitely use ChatGPT and Claude. I think I also use this tool called Bytes. What I like about it is that it kind of lets you do Q&A on AI papers that you can find on Archive or on Hugging Face or on GitHub. And so that's been a really nice resource. You can ask it what's the difference between, this technique and this other technique that I've seen, because it's indexed all of these things. So that's been a nice kind of knowledge partner. And then the other one that's interesting is called Multion. It's like a seed stage startup now. They basically, it's an AI agent that works in the browser. So you can ask it to do things I can be oh, can you order this salad that I ordered on Uber Eats last weekend again? And it'll go to Uber Eats and do all this stuff. I think there's I'm excited to see where they'll go with this. I think that entire space is really interesting.
What you said now amazes me. What you can do that, and working in AI, I'm not using it at all, and I'm proudly obviously ChatGPT, but also for work stuff, and I'm very scared of integrating it into my life. I decided to be completely different from anyone else, and I do hope that one day we will reach the movie her version, and obviously Replica is going there, and I hope it happens. But at the same time, I try to keep my life as AI free as possible. And please don't cancel me for that. Please don't fire me as well. Yeah.
All levels of AI use are welcome at the AI user group. Great. I'd love to kind of get a little bit more into kind of trends and innovations in the social media and media buying space. So if you could kick us off about what you think some of those exciting trends are that you're seeing right now, and maybe just with a view to the landscape for the next 5 years, which I know is wild, how much things are going to change.
Can I start, because I want to say the most obvious thing, and so that you don't take it. I do like the UGC characters that are being created everywhere. So when Creatify came up, it literally changed the way we create creatives in my companies, and I do think that that is the future. I do hope that they will become more emotional and they will have more voices and everything. I do know a lot of people that are making startup in that sphere, so please don't do it. But in general, this is I think this is actually very useful for marketers, and I thank AI for that, and that's it. Yeah.
interesting. I think one thing that I see will improve is just guidelines and brand guidelines and like, more understanding of what legal compliance looks like. I think a lot of the clients that, want to use AI but are maybe a little hesitant are hesitant because of that reason. So I think having like policy and legal guidelines more clarified, that will go a long way. And another one is these companies or these initiatives like the content authenticity initiative that's trying to like be more transparent when something is AI generated. I think bringing more transparency to that will be good for marketers because authenticity is already a problem with social media, and like having ads use AI and generate it, I think it'll only aggravate it if it's not done thoughtfully. So that's, maybe one area that I'm watching.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Brand styles and guardrails are super interesting. I think we have been playing with like basic AI reviewing itself. I saw OpenAI recently released, code debugger, so like AI that reviews its own code that it generates. So it'll be interesting to see how that continues to evolve. I think another space very related to the demo I showed is consistent product generation. I think that's getting really close to there. Right now we're only touching the background around because the marketers we work with are not willing to have even a tiny, seam slightly too long if we're trying to regenerate a clothing item, for example. But I've seen companies like EverArt do this really well, and I think that could be getting there soon. A lot of stuff around 3D as well. So yeah, I think there could be a future where, product photography is almost like AI first. So that'll be interesting.
Awesome. It's great to hear about EverArt. Are there any other tools or companies in the space that you're keeping an eye on?
I agree with Creatify. I think they're doing really cool stuff like captions. There's a ton of companies that are doing like AI video. Even I think like TikTok's native AI video tools are really solid. They also do the avatars. So
Great.
Yeah, a bunch in that space.
Awesome. And like thinking about the kind of evolving role of social media managers, marketers, like even agencies and digital marketers in general, like how do you see their role evolving alongside AI and what that role will entail in the future? Any thoughts?
I don't think they will be replaced. I maybe it's wishful thinking that I am like, no, nobody will take our jobs and stuff. But I do think that agencies in general, if they don't actually integrate that, they will fall behind very, very hard. And for every agency out there, where is the camera? Integrate AI with Higgsfield as well. Sorry.
No, that's great. I mean, I think also, I agree with what you're saying, right? Like, marketers that use AI will replace marketers that don't. Like, I think that's like a quote that's said a lot nowadays. But I feel like what will end up happening is that there'll be really new forms of marketing, like new medias that come up, like, like really out there, like metaverse marketing, like, there's gonna be crazy things that come up. And so the problems are gonna be a lot more interesting. So, a lot of the manual work will just save a lot of time using AI.
Yeah, I think definitely the floor gets raised. People who maybe didn't have creative skills before, couldn't make beautiful graphic designs or couldn't do their own photography, can now get to a serviceable basic level. But I think there's definitely still room and especially need for taste and strategy and that level of human thinking. So definitely everyone should learn the AI tools. It's great if you're a beginner and like the floor gets raised, but if you're already near the top, then of course take your skills to the next level and make sure you continue to lean into the strategic aspect and the taste that you have in creative.
And I also wanted to add that even now, even with all the AIs in the world, there is still a very big lack of people that are professional. So if there is an agency that can do good UGC content for me, I would skip Creatify, HeyGen, and anyone else in a bit just to see those really professional people at work. So, and I do think that it will keep happening. So if you're good at what you do, please continue doing that because we still need you for the next 2 to 3 years. Yeah.
Any tips on how you guys are, boosting your own toolkit as we go? Like, what is your own practice like around that?
So I can say that my design, I can say that like I literally invested a lot of time of my designers to learn on all the AI tools. So basically we created our own, like, I don't want to, like a tool where they can go and just create everything. They don't use Mindjourney or Stable Diffusion. They just go to our own tool and they become so good at it that now I am amazed. I'm like, they've become too powerful. We cannot have them anymore. Yeah, and basically to invest time into development of your people and into development of motion designers to become also prompt engineers. I think this is like the diffusion that we want to see.
Yeah, I think so. Personally, how I keep on top of things, it's a lot of Twitter. I feel like people love to post their product announcements there, and I'm happy to eat them up. And I don't know, I think communities like this as well, I think being in San Francisco, you cannot avoid AI, and I don't want to avoid AI, so this is a great place to be. I think a lot of even just like casual conversations I'll have day to day tend to be about like new releases and things like that. In terms of upskilling within a company, someone told me they recently had everyone on their team basically pick a pet area and then do a bit of a like sprint to explore that, come back and present it to the team and train everyone else up on it. I think that's a really great way and something that others could model for getting sort of off the ground. I think there's a lot you can learn just by, searching on Twitter, searching on Google for what new releases are, play around. I think there's a bit of skill with prompting, but something that, quick sprint I think could get people to a serviceable level pretty quickly.
Great. Yeah, no, we've had really good tips so far, but going further, if somebody here in marketing is kind of dipping their toes, they're wanting to integrate or implement some more AI solutions in terms of maybe content creation or maybe media buying, would you have any tips or even pitfalls to avoid to help folks out early on that journey?
I think one thing that really helps is just to be hands-on and try as much as you can. Like a lot of these tools have free demos, you can get like free credits and all of that. So just trying things out is one thing. The other thing is try it out on easy examples, but then also try it out on the long tail. Because again, like we talked about, like that's, you're gonna really see that for a lot of images, maybe it just doesn't work, and like maybe it's too early to adopt, whatever tool that you're looking for. And then the last point was, and then the pitfall to avoid is just like analysis paralysis. Like there's so many tools out there, so once you kind of test like a good handful, just pick one and go with it, and then you can design your system such that you're not like stuck into that tool. So as it improves or as other tools come in, you can kind of adapt and be flexible and use those, but just trying it out and then like making a decision to go with something and then iterating after that is probably a good strategy.
Yeah, I would also say, and maybe I'm a little biased because this is how we work with our customers, but sometimes finding a great partner that can help you identify the use cases, help you, stay on top of using the right model so you're not having to test every single week every new thing that comes out, and provide those guardrails can be really helpful. And even for us, we used to try to build all of our models in-house. Now we have partners, and I think that's been a huge unlock for us, so we can focus more on workflow and the things that we do uniquely different.
Great, and you guys shared some amazing case studies from Foot Locker and TUI and all of these great companies. Was there any other stories or big wins that companies have had using these tools that you'd like to share or talk about?
Maybe I can talk about one with video ad assembly. So that's a feature we've been playing with for a couple months now, a lot of very hands-on managed experiments. And so my boss went to a summit with our customer Zalando over in Berlin and showed the feature to someone whose job in the next couple of weeks was going to be to make 100 short-form video variants. And when she saw the feature, she said, I could almost cry right now. This is going to save me so much time. So I think it's good validation that if you choose the right use case and you do it really well, it can be a big unlock.
Literally saving lives out here. Yeah.
Exactly. Marketing saves lives, always.
Amazing. Okay, great. Apoorva, I don't want to ignore your kind of great technical expertise in this kind of area. So I was wondering if you could share any of the kind of technical challenges you faced in building smartly and even from prior experiences.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think there are so many, but I'll try to distill it. So one interesting thing, one of the biggest differences between building AI products versus not AI products is the evaluation. If I was to build DoorDash, right? The main functionality of DoorDash is I need to be able to search for restaurants, and then I need to be able to order, and I place the order and it comes to me, right? I can test each of those functionalities deterministically pretty well. But let's take even Higgsfield, right? How do I evaluate how well a video is automatically? I don't know how you guys do it. Yeah, you see it, right? So that is probably one of the biggest challenges that we're facing, but a lot of AI companies are facing right now, especially with generative AI, because how do you validate in an automated way? You can't. You end up having to do sample it, send it to maybe a human labeler, rate how well it looks, and then iterate. But imagine trying to improve your model or trying to see whether a different model is better. Like, you can't do that automatically. So I think eval is huge. There's a lot of companies that are working on this right now, and so I think we'll only see these toolings get better. Another thing is just it's expensive, right? Like, I mean, you know, what you guys are doing with actually building a foundation model, like, is probably way more expensive than what we're doing at Smartly. And so, you know, paying for GPUs is a big one. And then also these models are huge. So actually loading it and being able to do it quickly, like, there's always going to be a cost and like latency trade-off. So anyway, there's a lot more, and like I can go on and on about it, but these are just some that come to mind.
Excellent, great. And like thinking about, I'm so interested in the development of these products and, you know, the insights that go into making them, and maybe stories and user testing that has shaped them. Can you share anything on that across the two companies?
Yeah, so we take a very consultative approach. We are the AI lab, which means that we really are testing some new use case pretty much every week or every other week. Video ad assembly, again, I think that came out of just like we got a ping from one of our customer success managers that a customer wanted something like this. They threw together a sample in an afternoon. We took that out. We kept seeing demand for it, so we eventually built it into a full repeatable product, and then figured out that long tail, as I hope I hammered in during the presentation. But, you know, even from the very early days, we had a customer, actually Foot Locker was one of our very first customers. That case study I showed was the first one we did with them. We've done a bunch more since then. We tend to be very consultative. We'll do the first generation with them almost fully managed, very handheld. After that, we'll train them on how to come up with prompts on their own and how to get results they like. And then if there's pitfalls they run into that can't be solved through great service, we build products around it. So with them, we work to build the style mimicking feature, the composition control feature, the recurring generation came as a request from a customer. So we are very, very much in touch with what our customers do. Partially because we work with such large enterprises, I think they expect that level of service, but it's fun. I think we never struggle to have product ideas because it's like we're doing user interviews and consultative work every single day.
I do have to ask, does Foot Locker pay in shoes?
We have not gotten any free shoes from Foot Locker, but I'll see.
That's okay.
One managed generation for a rare shoe.
And what about at Higgsfield? What kind of processes, human in the loop, what's going on?
Basically, like, I do agree. Maybe I'm answering another question. I'm not sure, but I do agree that it takes a lot of humans right now to see if the AI is good or not, and like not only at the result level, but literally we have small little very big, very nice girls, so that you don't think that their own thing, that are looking at the data sets and just putting tags on it. So you should know that it's a lot of work for people to create the models that you are seeing, and the results that if they're not to your liking, just wait a couple of moments. I do think that, like, because I'm more on a consumer side, I do see that a lot of people are interested in simpler things, and like with the development of the AI, we need to take that into consideration. For example, I don't know if you know it, there is a company called Wiggle, and they create videos that are very like dances as well. Like, they are very funny, they're very like simple. If you Google it on TikTok, you will see the trend that is going right now, and it's like, for me as an older person, this is stupid, but people do like it. And when you give them, instead, you give them very good dances that look very, like, I don't want to use the word sexy, but they do look better. No, they want something stupid. They want something simple. They want something that is like entertaining. And this is also what you have to remember as marketers that are here, that sometimes it's not about the best model. And what we actually, like, I can talk from my past experience, what we actually saw in Replica is that people never want the smarter model, but people never want the newer model. They want something that they can feel confident with, and sometimes it's something old, it's something simple. Like, when AI is not too smart for them, when it's not like, oh, I create this picture of anything that looks better than you've ever seen. When they're like, oh, I'm a small, simple, stupid AI that creates a picture of an avocado chair, then they like it, and you can keep that in mind.
Can we do Paris Hilton morphing into an avocado chair? Can that happen with Higgsfield?
No.
No, that's not in the contract. Okay, guys, I want to open it up. If anybody has a question, I have one more to go, but if anybody wants to ask anything, please don't be shy. Is there anything else in your mind? No? Okay, well, I'll ask it on your behalf then. It's San Francisco. There's always founders in the room. So in terms of differentiating these products, how are you guys thinking about that at your respective companies, you know? Because there's a new tool every day of the week here.
Absolutely. So I think the way Smartly plays in general is the same way that we play in AI. So we are end-to-end across the workflow. We bring all these different platforms that advertisers need to run ads on together, and then we just make that an amazing, seamless, scaled experience with AI sprinkled throughout. So I think for our current customers, it's kind of been a no-brainer to test and work with us because we're literally integrating generation on top of the feeds they're already using to build their ads, and we are learning from the styles of the ads that they run through us and the insights that they get out of the best performing ads to make this really work for them. So I think for us, it's, you know, if we were to try to do exactly this as a startup, it might be harder because we do already have those, you know, years and years of relationships with our customers. Are running, you know, millions of dollars of ad spend through us, and they sort of trust us from that relationship standpoint. So yeah, I think there's a lot of benefits to being directly in the workflow on top of an existing tool with, you know, data from what they've done in the past to power it.
Yeah, absolutely. And like to add on, like Smartly has, you know, 700 customers. And so we have all of the data of those customers too, whether it's assets or KPIs or whatever. So, you know, building larger workflows is much easier when all of the data is in one place. But I will say that for like founders out there, I feel like now what's interesting is like you can totally flip an idea or a space on its head because, you know, traditional software, it's like you have like a certain flow to it, you know, people click and you do things. But I think now, like, you can kind of redefine it because with generative AI, there's so much more that can be automated. There's different kinds of ways that software can be controlled. So I think like for founders, it's like so greenfield because you can kind of just disrupt markets altogether. Like I'll give you an example. There's this company called Adept. It recently got like co-acquired / merged-ish with Amazon. It's like not actually an acquisition, but they have some partnership. And what Adept does is that they automate like supply chain, finance, and healthcare workflows by using agents to like do a lot of the communication. So there's not as much back and forth. So like that has so much more efficiency, and it's not like a regular SaaS tool where you know, people go and click, right? So I feel like there's paradigms like that make it so interesting to be a founder at like this point in time.
But does it do passive aggressive as per my last email in this back and forth? I mean,
Probably.
Where is the fun?
It's an easy thing to do these days. Yeah.
Okay. The differentiation in video creation, obviously this is a very like painful point because OpenAI, because everybody else, and we look at them presenting it and every time we're like, oh, they got to us. But at the same time, I do believe that still at the point where you're just creating pretty pictures and you don't have a use case for it, this is all worth nothing. And this is the problem with AI in general. As long as you don't find a use case for it, as long as you don't have, like, why do you need to create the picture of the turtle? Why do you need to create the picture of anything else? So what we are looking for is the use case where people can actually use our technology. And I do hope we will find it, and I do hope we will give it to it. Because I don't know if you noticed, but not everyone has the AI assistant now, even though the technology is there. So if it's not needed, even if it exists, it's not needed. And we want to create something that is needed. And this will be the differentiation point that I hope that we have.
Great. Any final thoughts? I saw you were...
Yeah, I was just going to go the direction Apoorva was also going, where, you know, where are startups able to stand out against, you know, a really large existing workflow end-to-end solution? I think one is we have spent a lot of time, as I've said so many times, on making a simple use case work for the long tail and like really getting that right, bringing it to scale. And partially because we spent so much time on that, even though we've done experiments on like what would an agent for marketing look like and these like really large workflow changes, we haven't implemented them as fast as maybe a small startup could. So I've seen some startups do well there. The other is higher risk use cases like something like Creatify does with UGC video avatars. Not all of our customers are totally on board with doing that yet. So it's something we've started to test the waters with. We could totally do, HeyGen integration or something like that, but not something we've touched yet because it's higher risk and we need to move carefully with our position.